Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 3 of my best tips for tomorrow's racing. Now before we get stuck into that, I just got a few announcements to make before I give you the tips, and also as well recap on my selections on how they ran today. Now first of all, I want to say that I will be uploading Saturday's horse racing tips slightly earlier than usual. I'll be uploading them tomorrow afternoon, probably just after lunchtime. That's because I'm going away this weekend and I just don't have time to do it on Friday evening, but I really want to give you guys some tips for Saturday's racing, so stay tuned for that, and make sure you subscribe here to my YouTube channel, which means you'll get a notification every time I upload a video, and then you can go and watch it in your own free time. So make sure you do that. So that's what's going to be happening on Saturday's racing, and also as well in the meantime, because there won't be a video for Sunday's racing if I'm going away this weekend, go and check out my video I made earlier in the week about my methods and strategies for finding winners. Obviously we're going really well at the moment, and if you haven't seen it, I'll leave a link to that video in the description box below. And also as well, I have made a podcast again. You might be familiar with the fact that I do a podcast with my friend Mark Karosky, who also works in the industry, and we've been doing it since the beginning of the year, but in the last few weeks we've been doing more betting previews, uploading them and previewing the weekend's action, and that's exactly what we've done this week. We've already recorded the podcast, and the link to it will be in the description box below. We've got them available to you on iTunes, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, whatever podcast platform you prefer, we've got it all covered. So if you want to listen to any of those, I recommend you strongly click for them in the description box below. But anyway, enough of me waffling about that. Let's talk about how our tips ran today. And it was another great successful day for us today. We had 3 winners. We had another winning nap to continue our good nap run in September. That was our 9th winning nap and our 10th profitable one overall, so we've been going great guns there. Hamish Macbeth was our nap at Yarmouth, and Ryan Moore pretty much rode the race exactly how I thought it would pan out. I thought he would be very handy. It was very hard at Yarmouth over the last couple of days to come from off the pace. You needed to be up there prominent, and in the end I thought he gave him a brilliant ride, and that's when I think Ryan Moore is at his best. I'm often critical of Ryan Moore, don't get me wrong, he is a good jockey, but I think in the last couple of years maybe he's not been at the peak of his powers. But when he's up there setting the fractionals or very prominent, he often rides all his horses very well, and I think he puts in more good rides from the front than bad ones. So yeah, Ryan Moore gave him a peach of a ride today, and it was a very cosy success. Also as well, our next best one, you didn't need to be a genius to find that, went off odds on in the end. We did put it up at 11 to 10 last night, which was available for most of the evening, and that was Al Shahara for Will Buick and Simon, and Ed Crisford was a very comfortable winner, had some strong form in the book and was able to capitalise on that. And then our other winning tip today was Shimmering Dawn at 5 to 1, and again was quite well found in the market, was a bit of money for it, went off around about 7 or 2 in the end, but there was 5 to 1 available for quite a long time, and she got back to winning ways at a track she loves. That was her 3rd course win at Chelmsford. She had running some better races on her most recent starts in Patent Company in a Group 3, and a couple of Group 3s actually, and back into a handicap. Even though some people might have thought she was off a high mark of 94, I still thought she retained ability, and that shows as well that James Tate's yard might just be coming into a little bit of form. Like I mentioned, in July and August they were going for a little bit of a quiet spell, but in the last couple of weeks I noticed that the results were getting better from that yard, and they were a stable in my opinion that you should start to take note of. So yeah, it's been another fantastic day, and also as well, thank you for all the messages and support I got on the comments on here, and also as well on Twitter. I really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without your support. So make sure if you like these videos, you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. The only disappointment I should have mentioned as well was Homespin. Not sure exactly what went wrong there. He was up there, but I think something went amiss. He ran too bad to be true in my opinion. But yeah, the less said about that, the better. But yeah, he was the only blip on our selections today. But let's get into the tips for tomorrow, what you all want to hear about. And we're going to be starting tomorrow with my next best, which runs over the Irish Sea on the jumps card there at Downpatrick. Don't normally give too many tips at Downpatrick, but we go to the 310 tomorrow for a beginner's chase, and I thought Get Smart was the obvious contender here for Danny Mullins, riding for Mags Mullins. I'm not sure if it's his auntie, but still I think they are related in some way or another. It seems like everybody with the surname Mullins is related in Ireland. Sorry if you are Irish and you have the surname Mullins and you're not related to the great racing dynasties, but yeah, I get confused with all the connections. But this horse is currently 5-2 at the moment in the betting markets, and is going to be, like I said, my next best tomorrow, and definitely brings the best pieces of form to the table. Now the most recent effort we saw came at Tipperary in July, and the form of that race has worked out not too bad, because the winner was a horse for Noel Mead called In Your Shadow, who subsequently boosted the form, won a chase on his last start at Galway last week, and has made the frame by finishing second on his subsequent starts, and he's now rated at 121. Now if we analyse this race as a whole, there's nothing really anywhere near that rating in here. It's quite a weak beginner's chase, and the fact that Get Smart has already had a couple of runs over fences and shown a decent level of ability for this grade suggests that I think at 5-2 tomorrow, this horse will be will be there or thereabouts come the winning line. Downpatrick as well. It's a bit of a unique course really. It's kind of up and down, and it always looks like it takes a little bit of getting. Now that run at Tipperary was over 2.5 miles, and this is going to be over 2 miles, so the fact that we know that this horse can stay a little bit further, I think, is going to just help him as well. I always like horses that maybe sometimes drop back in trip, and then we know that they've got the stamina in the closing stages if it does get into a battle. And I just think, like I said, the way the track will, the track at Downpatrick, I just think will really suit this horse, and it might just bring out the best in him. So at 5-2 tomorrow, it might be short for some people, but I just thought this was a really weak race, and I wouldn't be at all surprised actually if this went off a lot shorter come post time tomorrow. So that's going to be the next best there. We then go to the Newbury for the 4:15, and this is where my nap's going to be in the listed race there. And I thought Glorious Journey was a fairly big price here, and I'm quite sweet on his chances tomorrow. You can currently back him at 8-1 for James Doyle and Charlie Appleby. Now, he hasn't been at the races as such, to use the pun, this season. He takes a couple of runs to come to the fore. If you actually look at his profile as a horse, he often puts in his best efforts after a few runs, and he's had that now, so there shouldn't be any excuses tomorrow on the fitness side of things. And last time we saw him, he ran in a very strange race at Newbury in the Group 2 Hungerford Stakes that was won by Dream of Dreams. That form has been boosted a few times. Obviously, Dream of Dreams went on to win the Haydock Sprint Cup, so he's boosted it to Group 1 form. Also as well, Stuart Williams' filly Breathtaking Look went on to win, I think it was a Group 3 in France, so their form doesn't look too bad there. And also as well, Symbolise ran okay in a conditions race behind Ostilio. So the form doesn't look too bad there. Yes, he is going to have to take on Symbolise tomorrow, but I think he can reverse the form, and he's definitely the class act. He's rated 111, which makes him the best horse on ratings, if I'm correct in saying that. Yeah, if he runs anywhere near to the mark of 111 tomorrow, I think he's well treated, and he's definitely always shown that he is probably better than a listed caliber horse. He's always shown that he can mix it up in Group 2s and Group 3s. In fact, he actually won over the course and distance last season when he actually did win that Hungerford Stakes, even though it probably was a weaker renewal. But still, nonetheless, you know, this isn't a particularly strong race, so I could probably put lines through quite a few of these runners in my opinion. I don't think they're up to the standard. And Glorious Journey, if he just is spot on tomorrow, which I think he can be, I think at 8-1 he's a massively overlooked horse in this market, and I'm really sweet on his chances tomorrow. I think he's either gonna go very close or he's gonna run a stinker, but I genuinely think that he is the one for me at the prices, and I do think he will be spot on tomorrow. And in this grade, I think he will show that he is a class act. And for me at 8-1, I think that's a bit disrespectful of his chances tomorrow. I can see why he is that price on his most recent starts, but like I said, if you actually look at the profile of the horse, he's one, in my opinion, that just takes a couple of runs to get to his optimum. So for me, running a course he's won at before, going on a track which will suit, and I think the race will be run to suit him too. I think there's just a lot in his favour tomorrow, and he is going to be my nap. Currently can back him at 8-1. We then go to Kempton for the Twilight card there in the 6-10 with my Longshot with a horse called Stallone, 16-1, and I'm going to recommend an each way selection here for Henry Spiller and Callum Shepherd. Now this horse, he hasn't really, in his form figures anyway, shown that he's going to be winning anytime soon. However, he is back down to a mark of 66, and that's the same mark he won at last year when he put 2 victories together at Leicester and at Yarmouth. Now they were on the turf and were on heavy ground. However, on his last start at Haydock, I thought he showed a little bit more promise. I thought he actually ran quite well that day, and he was just outpaced, I think. And going up to 7 furlongs tomorrow, where he's won at before, I think is definitely going to suit him. And they're actually going to be putting on the blinkers tomorrow, which I think is another positive move. He's off to run some of his best races in the blinkers. And if you go back through some of his form earlier in the year, he's actually ran okay. He's made the frame a few starts. He's finished in the first 4 at big prices as well. And Henry Spiller as well is a trainer that I like backing from time to time, and I always find he is a trainer that he has his wins in batches. He doesn't like string them along. He might not have like one winner and it's just that, and then he doesn't have another one for like 2 or 3 months. I tend to find that he gets about 3 or 4 in a week, and he actually had a winner in France earlier in the week. And I just think there's a lot stacking up for this horse tomorrow to go quite well. And if he can get into a good position, he's got a good draw in stall 1, so he well needs to be away and fairly handy. If he can get in a handy position under Callum Shepherd, I think this isn't a particularly strong race for the grade. And at 66, that's definitely a workable mark. He is still a maiden on the all-weather, but he has put some promising efforts together. And like I said, I just think he's a little bit overlooked in this market tomorrow, and he will obviously need to bounce back to form. But I think if he can improve for that Haydock run, which I think he will, and with the trainer possibly coming into a little bit of form, I think at 16-1 you can have worse long shots. So yeah, I'm just going to take a chance there. I would probably recommend small stakes each way if you were going to have a bet on that selection. But I still think he can give us a good run for our money. So I'll quickly just go through those 3 tips. In the 3-10 at Downpatrick, Get Smart, 5-2, next best, win only bet. In the 4-15 at Newbury, the listed race there, we go with Glorious Journey, 8-1, win only bet as my nap. And then in the 6-10, we go with the Longshot, Stallone, 16-1 each way, and that rounds things off for tomorrow. So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel here at Lucky Loaders 15. Also as well, if you want to watch those videos and listen to those podcasts, make sure you hit the links in the description box below. Also as well, if you want to follow me on social media, you can do, where my handle is at LuckyLoader15. And also as well, if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, why don't you check out a full portfolio of my work by going to my website, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can continue our great form in September tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.